Hello, everyone. This is Ellen Stevens. I'm the owner of PolicyTrend. So periodically, I like to hop on the video possibility of this platform to prove that I'm not, in fact, AI. And that I am, in fact, alive and well, as should be. And yeah, just I realized that it's been quite a while since I've made one of these video discussion posts. So I figured this was a good time to do that. So one of the topics that I think is progressively more relevant is this topic of technological violence. So, what technological violence refers to within a context of having victims of hacking, for example, or victims of over excessive illicit monitoring, for example, which does happen, um, is the fact that unfortunately a lot of people are more and more people are experiencing this reality. And so it's important to bring that to the forefront of discussion because you have a large section of the population that so I've written this into my satire a little bit. So a lot of people don't understand how an application on your phone works, for example. So as a joke, I wrote, okay, like you attach a paper clip to a cow, the cow moves, and then a screen appears. So obviously that's satire. That's not how it works. It's a complicated process. But you have a lot of people who understand very little about technology and what's possible, who accuse victims of then, um, not being aware that what they're experiencing may very well be a hack or a system flaw or the involvement of a group who might be performing surveillance who definitely is not allowed to be performing that surveillance. And I think that that is a very relevant topic because surveillance has limits. It's also something that can be done to a certain degree by certain formal groups. But however, not by everyone, and not with the intent to cause active harm. That puts those people who participate in that sort of group activity into a very concerning category. So as more and more platforms develop integrate different AI systems into their platforms, and hopefully that decreases the amount of possibility for some of these very real sort of like opportunities for very invasive styles of harm. Um, I think it's important to identify that this is something to be aware of. So, one very important piece of popular discussion currently is the topic of artificial intelligence integration within different systems. And so, one of the things that I've seen done somewhat incorrectly on numerous platforms and numerous discussions is the way that AI is discussed. So, AI, artificial intelligence, refers to the creation of, say, a model or a formula with which a particular subset of code, etc., can interpret various information and make decisions or create sort of new data based on what it's learned and based on certain questions and things like that. So, but AI is different. So, sometimes, I've seen some relatively concerning negative coverage of AI, and I've also seen some very positive. But the way that you talk about AI, it's sort of like, so there are, for example, different styles of cars, right? So there are different models of cars, there are different brands of cars. Not every car is the same. Like when you say car, it's not just a general concept of like when you think of car, it's like there's different styles of car. Like that's obvious. It's not just like there's one car. Uh, that's it. So that's the one way to sort of interpret that when you speak about AI and AI integrations and different AI agents, which are developed for, I imagine, different styles of software, different styles of use case. You're not, limiting yourself to just the conceptual understanding of car. Like it's AI that's developed for like mainstream market use is supposed to have certain controls. It's supposed to have certain frameworks. It's supposed to function in a civilized and cohesive way. So, if you find an AI version that's been tampered with, that's been manipulated, that doesn't adhere or like is just acting in really bizarre ways, then it's very likely that that has been subject to some type of bad acting influence or malware or things like that. So when you this is especially one concerning example of coverage that I was listening to was someone who, was in their process of development. They downloaded some AI application, and just the things that this application was saying or writing allegedly was just super strange and inappropriate. And so that would be likely an indication that that company or AI producer either was experiencing some type of malware attack, etc., or they were funded by some type of questionable organization. So it's important to draw that distinction because it's like when they say like, oh, AI, it's like, oh, okay, which AI? Like which particular formula, which particular framework? They're not the same. One other thing that I wanted to talk about that seems to have caught on as sort of uh, a positive popularity, I would say, at least in my mind, is this concept of distinction class. So, distinction class can actually, I think, be very therapeutic for people. So, there were sort of a lot of, I think, uh, malintentioned and bad acting sort of societal trends. So, how would I say that better? Some sort of concerning societal trends where I think a lot of common discourse was very much conditioned to create a lot of incorrect inferences. And so that can be very, very toxic, because if you're trying to get to the core matter of something, and you have a lot of people saying things that weren't even said, they just thought that that's what was being implied, you waste a lot of time on unnecessary conversation. And so one of the things that I wrote into my satire is a lot of those people and bots and whatever can be put into distinction class, because evidently they're proving that they need it. And so one such example might be, well, um, a llama and a sheep might look somewhat similar, but they're a different animal. Or, for example, on various types of scanners, people can look almost identically the same, but in reality, they take quite a different form. Yeah. I also wanted to talk about, probably elaborate further onto distinction class, as it were, and also talking about how I recognize whether something might be genuinely suspicious, or well, how I evaluate the sort of motive of intent. So, one of the things of drawing important distinctions is, for example, was an error uh, genuine or accidental, or was an error intentional? So, for example, one way that you can generally glean um, whether or not, interpret whether or not an error is intentional, is whether or not a lot of other people might, in the same context, make the same mistake. So, humans are predisposed to certain quirks in general, and so when it comes to things like priming, or like conditioning, things like that, you can make a lot of even really intelligent people make a quirky error, for example. So, one of the easiest ways to discuss this is, say you have uneven ground, right? But one part of the ground is particularly like higher than another. So a lot of people might stumble when they hit that particular when they hit that particular sort of concrete block, or what have you. So because your body is in repetition mode and it expects everything to be like at least somewhat uniform, uh until that, right? So you can that, whether or not that's an intentional mistake, like it's really, it depends on the case, but not fixing that, that starts to get a little suspicious. But that's how you know a mistake may be inherently there or has been pre-programmed, right? Like the fact that a person was walking, and for example, the expectation is that within the context of this framework, that should have been level, right? And then they might have tripped a little, right? That tripping in and of itself might be considered a mistake, but one of those is a lot more intentional than the other, right? Now, if a person knows that that's there, they walk up to it, they dramatically stretch, and then they fall backwards, right? probably you know that there's something suspicious about the behavior of that particular person. So those are once again ways that assist in identifying whether or not what the description that is being stated is relatively honest or relatively not. Yeah, I also wanted to talk about how to respond to certain types of creepy threats. So a part of having to navigate the severe amount of negligence, a lot of it intentional negligence, which I have proved, is that, when you put people into a position where, there's a style of very limited access to proper resources, they end up in environments where there might be other people who participate in a lifestyle that they do not. And so what a lot of these people do is they have a tendency to like threaten each other and everyone else and do like messed up things and then lie a lot. So one of the and for some reason they're a lot of them are very perverted. Like they'll like attack, so these days I shower in a bathing suit because there was such a severe level of harassment from the people who were trespassing into my former that I just like going forward, it's just going to be. And I recommend any woman who is who might be the recipient of a lot of jealousy from a lot of people who are categorically losers, to maybe consider doing that as well. But anyways, I think what they want is, regardless of whether or not they committed the offense of voyeurism or harassment or a sexual harass a type of sexual harassment, a type of privacy violation, it's an offense to film someone in a compromised way and then distribute it. Like that's a literal offense. So that just those offenses alone, I think that could be like 15 years. So I don't know why anyone in the right mind would risk that, but one way, to manage the like power attempts of your attackers is to remind them that they are in fact perverts, because I think they think that they have the upper hand by making a person feel like violated, but it's important to remind them that what they're attempting to do is a very perverted act and they should be embarrassed, like not actively participate in it. It's just a very perverted thing to do. So it's in your best interest not to do it. That's it. So just wanted to discuss that. Yeah, so one other thing that I saw come up in the sort of news slash tech roster is this idea of quote unquote banning various social platforms, social media bans, I guess they're calling it. And so the thing about that is you have to be careful how unprepared or ill-equipped you might be actually leaving people if you do that. It's sort of like not knowing how to use the computer in the modern day. might could have pretty significant uh, significant life quality sort of limitations. So I think what is probably a better idea is to have like an education component. So um like I guess distinction class, as it were. So, recognizing what probably shouldn't be on something, like how to, if you're being threatened or bullied, like how to properly report that. Just a more sort of cohesive effort on educating different people on how to actually navigate complex life situations, because it shouldn't be that easy to convince people to do horrifying stuff. Yeah, like if your app is telling you to go, like, put a fire causing something or other somewhere, or like, more of an awareness of like apps which might be used to do stuff like that. Because, and like what to do and who to report it to. Because the thing about young people is they have a tendency to sometimes like, okay, so it's banned, but then they'll go and get it, and then like now you're running the risk of like you don't know what you don't know if they're even remotely mentally prepared for that. So yeah, so it's one of those things where I do question that. I do question that. Because it takes a while for people to become accustomed with various technology. Meaning, like, if a post shouldn't be like on a particular feed, you have to have a certain amount of experience to understand, like, that's definitely not supposed to be there. Like, one of the technologies that kind of can create a lot of issue is like various like ghost messaging, stuff like that. And so and then the lack of understanding that kind of stuff exists, so it's like created a really weird situation. So the way that I think it's easy to sort of demonstrate the point is like back when email just came out, like, and like there would be an email sent to everyone that's like clearly a spam email. Like that's sort of what some of that looks like on a feed. Like it's like not properly spelled, like it like looks like it shouldn't be there. So it's weird that people were able to comprehend the concept of a spam email and like not the possibility of like spam bot. Like it's really weird that like that didn't transfer. I don't know if it's an education component. Um, I don't know why that understanding just like stopped at spam emails for some reason. I also want to elaborate a little bit on the topic of distinction and also understanding. Uh, One of the things that really sort of bothers me as a perspective sometimes is the expectation of people to adopt like a Puritan model. Like it really bothers me when people do that, because it shows your lack of comprehension towards that like functionality other than yours exists. And I think it promotes a lot more sort of predisposition for certain types of extremism because um, it now, instead of sort of meeting like whatever sort of meh part of a person's personality in like a legal way, that they might do it in like a really weird illegal way, and like that's sort of like something we don't want at all. One way that I was recently sort of recording different voice notes and things like that, and I actually quite like this example. I'm gonna talk about it. Like in the modern day, it's generally understood that if your vision is not at a certain point, meaning like if you are trying to read and you can't see what you're reading, or like if you're trying to look far away and everything's blurry, like it's there you get glasses, like prescription glasses, right? And so, but for the people who, for example, never like experienced losing their vision, right? That might be a concept that they don't really think about because why would they, right? Um, I wanted to compare it to getting the right, for example, the right kind of medication that someone might not fully understand the functionality of, and making really naive and gross and off-putting comments. So it's sort of like if you know someone who requires glasses to see, um, taking those glasses from the person and throwing them away and be like, why can't you see, makes you look like an idiot, and it's a type of abuse. So the people who approach this conversation in a really naive way tend to sort of like create more problems than they solve, right? Like if you took away everyone's glasses, you would have issues, significant ones that would impact most. So that's something you don't do because it's not a wise decision. Um, but I wanted to get into the specifics of like how some of these discussions look if we were just to use the glasses example. So, a person who's never experienced losing their vision before probably doesn't know what it's like. So, it can be very subtle. Right, so you like a lot of people who get glasses for the first time, they don't actually know that they've been losing their vision. So they sort of become like if things are getting a little like it's so gradual that people might not notice it. And so when you first get that pair of eyeglasses, suddenly everything's sharp and crisp like it's supposed to be. But up leading up to that point, you wouldn't have necessarily even known that. So, if you're a person who hasn't had the opportunity to like properly get that, you might like literally like you might think the world is blurry. I don't know, but when it comes to certain things, that's almost how the discussion looks. And then the people who've never like their vision is perfect, right? They also don't like they why would they appreciate it, why would they appreciate certain nuance of it? So if you need a particular prescription to see, right, the strength of the glass, the strength of the prescription of the glass, for example, right, they don't understand like that you can't just put on any old glasses and hope that it works. Like maybe if you're a child, that's what you, but like they don't fully understand that, probably a lot of them, or they don't bother. And so we have right now what's happening is I think we have an aging population, and we have people who probably don't necessarily want to pay for those bills. And so some of that discussion is coming off really, really sleazy and unhealthy. And trying to create, it's essentially like trying to move backwards and trying to like not have glass. It's like it's really sleazy and it's gonna have tragic results. So not to mention it makes you look really uneducated and really spoiled, and just um, like you don't know what you're doing at all. So, my solution for things like that is to have the privatization conversation in a healthy and effective way so that the people who aren't able to meet the requirements of the service that they require through the public health system have the option to go to privatization stream, because um it's just a really strange and ineffective way to approach a wheel that's already been invented. So I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on this topic of distinction class. So there are a couple of things that I've noticed that seem to uh, be a point of contention. And one of those things is that one person is not another person. So, as the community harassment that had occurred, especially at my former apartment, got to some pretty baffling levels, um, I began to read. We have a piece of legislation, and it's called the Criminal Code. And now, what that means is it's not like the code by which criminals live. It's like the what not to do in this country if you want to avoid very serious consequences that might last you the rest of your life. So important distinction as well. And one of those things is not confusing one person with another person. So that might seem like a um, really basic thing that most people would understand is a fundamental principle. Like if you're speaking to your friend or colleague or what, you're speaking to them. You're not speaking to a lookalike of them. You're speaking to them directly. Like meaning one person is not another person. Like a lookalike can't they're literally not the same person. Um, and the way to test that is through DNA, through a different numerical documentation, through experience, through various elements of uniqueness of experience. So these are very like basic things that one would think that they would not have to explain in this day and age. But here we are. So another point of contention is the seeming growing trend of illicit surveillance. So that could be by crime groups, it could be by opposing interests, it could be by independent review contractors, which, you know, once again has limits. Like, if, first of all, in order to perform proper surveillance, you need to have a certain amount of um, ability to dissect information in an appropriate way. So, if you are intentionally hiring people who are very likely to give you bad data, and for example, mix completely different people together and present it as a full picture that's not only very negligent, it's also very likely illegal. And can have pretty profound consequences, even for you. So I've noticed quite a bit, a strange amount of that happening. So one type of surveillance is audio surveillance. So I think there's been a growing popularity in audio style cameras. So using the bouncing of sound, etc., to create either an image or a dialogue, things like that. So one of the biggest problems with various style of surveillance is that if you are renting a space within, say, a building in which there are different people, it's very unusual to think that one person's style of existence is the same as another person's. Like, it's very sloppy, and it's like it's a crime in and of itself, because you're now not making the distinction between one person and another person, and that's a huge problem. It makes you very, very seriously negligent when you do that. Another point of contention I've noticed. So one of the reasons that I actually don't engage in certain interpersonal relationships is because I think it's really inappropriate for people to put women in a position like this and think that they can just harass them into being exploited victims. I have a huge problem with that. This is not the right country for that, and I don't know where that pervasive, disgusting pattern has started to permeate itself. But we're putting a stop to it. It's unacceptable. This is not the way to behave in modern society. It's also it's not okay to be severely perverted and to like exploit women because you can't manage your own perversion. Like, it's your responsibility to then manage your perversion in a healthy way without impacting other people. I also want to say that one of the things of making very disgusting accusations, saying like one person, like, so if there's illicit spying going on, and then there are like three people in the house, and then if one person and another person decide to do something that like disgusts the other person, to say that the person that's already disgusted is the person that would be like foolish enough to participate in that, like, it's actually like sexual harassment twice. So not only was it disgusting to have to listen, like, overhear it, like, now you're, every single time that accusation gets made to the party who like biochemically disgusted, like, now it's harassment so many more times, and that's not acceptable. Like, I'm sorry that that's never gonna happen, but that you'll have to accept that. Right, so I didn't quite capture the essence of what I wanted to say. So, one of the things about different styles of surveillance audio, for example, is you might quite literally not get the clearer picture. So it's like overhearing something and not seeing what actually is happening. So, just to demonstrate an example, a person might have a very similar way of speaking to another person. So when one person says something, right, and a person with a much similar voice says something, it's easy for whomever is listening to make the assumption that it might be someone they know. Um, which is natural. So without a confirmation, without proper investigation, it's very easy to make mistakes. Now, there's this type of surveillance, which is, I think, teletypewriter, where it's a form of, so people are speaking, and the program, it's sort of like a dictation, right? So if you're in a room or if you're uh, having the sound come through from a particular area and there are multiple people, it's difficult to know who said what, or whether or not it's actually like honest information. So one of the biggest things is like, say someone's listening to music and has, some popular lyrics are like intense, right? But that's why we have the separation between a sort of imagination and entertainment and reality. Like, if you're a healthy person, you're able to separate those two. Like, that should be taught relatively early on in development. What a major problem seems to be is people will utilize opportunities to mix and match, and then try and pin some of their very inappropriate activity onto another person. And not only is that a sort of a type of fraud and misinformation and a variety of different styles of crime, it's also a very inappropriate thing to have to navigate when you're already navigating complex things. So it's not appropriate, say, if you made a comment that about someone else, that may or may not be appropriate, and then to say someone else said it, and then later just close your eyes as the consequences of that inappropriate thing unfold. Like, mm-mm. Yeah, another thing is you have to be careful with the level of perversion of like the rumors themselves. So, if we're only like healthy people, like there are things like it's very likely a rumor and you should probably never repeat it because it's very disgusting. Like, it's a very perverted thing to say, and like very likely untrue. So the fact that you went and now exposed a new group of people to something that's severely perverted, it's a very serious form of harassment, not only to the person that you're creating the false rumor about, but also the other people who now have to listen to something that should have never even been in their mind. Like, some of the things you overhear, like, that should, like, no healthy individual or like person should ever have that kind of like that's not a thing one should ever experience or even ever think. Like, it's so you're very perverted if you not only hear that but think it, like, it's true, but then like go out of your way to like say it. Like, there's something seriously wrong with you, and like you're the person who needs to have some introspection and then like maybe see an appropriate, qualified, like well intentioned and good faith practicing mental health professional, not like a hack of a mental health professional, but an actual one. Because that's not acceptable, because not only did you take very likely a very false and disgusting piece of information, you're now harassing everybody with it. That's not something, like, there are very interesting topics in the universe. Like, a discussing weird, creepy rumor is like not something you should be spending time on discussing. Like, that there are healthy, incredible things in the world. Like, you're, ugh, ugh. Don't do that. It's really weird. Like, healthy families, like, don't think like that. Um, yeah, that's not something to like. And also, another thing about inappropriate sort of surveillance is like what some gross person decides to gossip, likely at a bar under the influence, or is very likely untrue. So, but if you take something that's probably one of the most like untrue, creepy thing and start repeating it, you are now harassing everybody else's mode of conversation. Like, there are interesting things to discuss, and that's not one of them. That's actually like really concerning.